not the first time we'll talk about the best format for listening to music, CD or vinyl. You will find out there lots of people telling you why they prefer some source or the other. Now we're going to keep the score for concluding once and for all what is the best way for listening to music. Just one thing, I won't talk about what source has the best audio quality. I think that's subjective and that depends from person to person. Dynamic range. Well, the winner here is very obvious. CDs have a dynamic range of 96 dBs and vinyl can go higher than 68. The point here goes obviously to the CD. CD has more dynamic range, that's a fact. But it's also true that the volume of a digital source can be turned up infinitely, and that makes the audio to be more compressed. It practically kills the aspect that CDs benefit the most, which is having a higher dynamic range. You can tune up the volume of a vinyl, but in order to do that, you have to make the grooves to be bigger, and that will mean to limit the minutes of playback for each vinyl side, and that will mean to have more vinyl discs for album, and that will mean that it will cost more money for producing a vinyl album, and record companies wouldn't do that. There's a lot of videos online discussing this subject. I talked about it briefly in a video. I will drop the link in the description if you want to check it out. The point goes here to vinyl. The winner of the cost is also a no-brainer. When a vinyl record costs you between 25 and 30 euros, a CD wouldn't cost you more than 15 euros. The point here goes to the CD. The availability is a tough one. I will say that CDs are less popular than 10 years ago. You now see that bands in concert only sell the vinyl version of their album. I think that vinyl nowadays, for some reason, it sells better. And nowadays some bands only release their music on vinyl format. The point goes to vinyl. You can be a CD fan, but you will never say something like, that artwork looks so much better on this plastic case rather than in this big gorgeous LP. It looks like a piece of art, like a painting. The point goes to vinyl. Oh yeah, you can drop a CD, you can hand it over to your kid, he can put it in the record player and nothing will happen. Vinyl is way more fragile than CD. The point here goes to the CD. But when a CD is scratched, there's nothing you can do about it. It will loop during the playback. On the other hand, if there's a dub or a scratch on your vinyl and there's a loop during the playback, you can rub it out and the problem goes away. I have done it personally and the loop disappears. It works. It's not perfect though. You will hear a pop, but the loop disappears. The point here goes to vinyl. You go to the record store, you buy a CD, you come home, you put it on your computer, and after a few minutes you have it in multiple audio formats. Although these days it's very difficult to find a computer with a CD-ROM, but you can always have an external one. Archiving your vinyl is not so simple though. You have 2, 4 or more sides for every album. You have to separate the songs manually. The record and the stylus needs to be very clean for the recording to be as transparent as possible. It's obvious that this process will take a lot longer with the analog format rather than with the digital one. And by the way, I don't tend to archive my vinyl. I think the best way to listen to vinyl is in your place, seated in front of your 2 loudspeakers. On the go, I only listen to music that is ripped on digital sources. It's weird for me to hear a pop or to feel the stylus without looking at it. But that is just me maybe. The point here goes to the CD. I think that if a band releases an album which has, let's say, 12 songs, it will be nice if the audience listened to the whole thing. I think that one bad thing that CDs did was to making the songs more accessible. And obviously in this regard, after the streaming services arrived, things got so much worse. One band releases 3 singles of an album, then releases the CD. Somebody buys the CD and he will listen only to that 3 songs. And don't tell me that this is not true, because it is. The point here goes to vinyl. With an analog format, it's very hard to skip songs. Of course, you can move the stylus and place it in a song that you want to hear, but it's more likable that you will hear the whole thing. This happened to me mostly when I'm listening to prog music. For example, when I listen to Opeth's record and I'm not very familiar with the track list, I'm not sure if I'm listening to the song number 1 or number 2. In progressive music, there are so much transitions in one song that things might get a little bit confused. This happens also if an album has tons of tracks. Let's say it has 6 songs for one side. If you're not familiar with the track list, you might not know if you are in track number 4 or number 5. When hearing a CD, there's a screen that tells you the number of the track, so there's no problem there. The point goes to the CD. Attention, this is similar to skipping the song. It takes more effort to reproduce a vinyl record. You have to place it on your turntable, you have to clean it, you have to clean the stylus. That's if you take care of your records, which I assume that you do. This only does to you to pay more attention for the music that is coming out of your loudspeakers. If you want to really hear a vinyl, you are aware of the work that requires to do so. What takes more effort is what we tend to appreciate more. If you play a vinyl, it's more likable that you will hear the whole thing. When it comes to a CD, that's not so possible to happen. The point here goes to vinyl. Back when people used to buy records, some CDs had extra media on them. Most of the time was a video of their singles. But there were some times that CDs had some funny things like a video game. That gave to the artist some extra room to deliver something different to the customer. With vinyl, it's only possible to place audio on the disc. The point here goes to the CD. Okay, you got me. It was my intention to leave the score even. Yeah, I cheated. You can call the VAR if you like. The thing is that it amused me how many people is discussing about this subject. The thing is that vinyl and CD are just two different ways of storing music, and that's it. They're both very good in doing so, but they're just different, and that's it. People will prefer one source or the other, so just stop the fuss about it and enjoy the music. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye.